Hello, everybody. We're back. I'm going to give you my usual spiel. No nets, no edits. We got some more questions, and I'm going to answer those and address them. And then I'm going to get into a lot of you over the years have asked me if we had anything to do with that movie Nom Angels. It's about a group of supposedly Hell's Angels that go to Vietnam, and they wind up trying to get a big load of gold out of there. But I think the movie was inspired by Sonny's letter to Johnson. But we're going to get into it, talk about the movie and how we stopped it and what happened. All right, we're going to get into the questions now. First question, my lovely wife off camera is going to read the question. She may be smoking some weed too. I don't know.
No, I'm not.
Okay, she's not. She's just
Who's your wife on camera?
Beverly.
Okay, RYD513 writes, did you ever wear the 1% patch?
Well, I'll tell you, I never wore it as a Hell's Angel, and I didn't wear it when I was running with the question marks or the Satan Slaves. They as a club had 1%er patches, and what they did was the question marks had the diamond, and the slaves had it was like a rectangle. I believe I think the losers had a diamond, and the Hells Angels had a diamond. By the time I got voted into the Hells Angels officially, people had quit wearing the 1% badge. So I never really sported one. I actually have one. Maybe I'll bring it on camera someday and show you. But I didn't wear one on my patch as a Hells Angel. I just, out of respect, I just didn't think it was appropriate. At that time, it kind of passed. Okay.
Okay, Hillbilly 6532 writes, police infiltrators are no better than snitches.
And this is Hillbilly?
Yeah.
You know, Hillbilly, I don't agree with you, but I wanted to give you your opportunity to say you didn't agree with me. But, you know, the way I look at it is you're a 1%er, you're an outlaw. You got to be on your toes at all time. And if one of these police officers infiltrates and gets over on you, that means you're slipping. Now, as far as a member rolling on you, that's a whole different thing. Those guys are rats. You know, Tony Tate was a rat. I could name 4 or 5 guys off the top of my head that you know tried to set me up over the years. But I still don't think if a cop swears an oath, that's what his job is, and you got to figure they're out there and they're trying to get us. But I respect what you said. Okay, next one.
James Hall 5400. I love the respect that you show Dobbins and differentiate between him and Tate. This kind of goes with the.
Yeah, and I put that in there purposely, kind of a juxtaposed. You know, some people don't agree, some people agree. I know, you know, I've known some undercover cops over the years. Got to know them afterwards. They had a guy here in Ventura that was an undercover cop back in the '70s. He was a sheriff actually, and he got so deep undercover he was partying too much, man. And they pulled him out of the field and put him behind a desk for a while. So they get kind of consumed with the lifestyle. I think sometimes they like it a little bit too much. All right.
Okay, Oscar Ornelas 6619. Ray is one of the baddest HA ever. Just a statement.
Well, you know, I know Ray personally. I've known him for, you know, since he got in the club. I was in the club before him. But he is a badass. There's no doubt about it. But he's also doing life in prison. So, you know, you need to equate things. Is he better off for the club in prison, or is he better off for the club outside of prison? I would say outside of prison functioning. But, you know, he put himself out there. He was a wild man. And, you know, now he's suffering the consequences. And I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just telling you, for you would be, you know, fans of Ray and Doug the Thug and whatnot, there's a consequence that comes with that reputation. Okay, next one.
KF316. Whatever happened to Andy the jeweler?
Well, Andy the jeweler showed up in the early, like, mid 80s. When I say early mid 80s, I'm thinking, 83 or 84. And he was just an unbelievable jewelry maker. And there's, a rumor going around that, David Ortega had something to do with, his demise. And it's just not true. He committed suicide, I was told. I even think he took his dog out with him. I heard he put a cable hose into his car and turned his car on and, went out that way. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I will tell you this. David Ortega didn't kill him. If David Ortega had anything to do with killing him, or if Andy had been murdered, we had so much heat on us, they would have been all over us. My only regret was I had set up a big interview, and they were going to spotlight him in Easy Rider magazine and his work. And, maybe that's where the rumors started about David, because him and David had some sort of falling out. David stopped the article from getting published. He came to me and he said, "Man, I don't want this published." David somehow felt Andy did him wrong. David was my right hand man. I had to go with him whether I agreed with him or not. And the publication and the story got pulled, but he wasn't murdered. He just kind of drifted away. He was a artist, man. And, some of these guys are temperamental and they're emotional, and I don't know what was going on in his head. He was always treating me with respect, and he was a very kind of a loner guy. I mean, he had the opportunity. He could have come to the clubhouse whenever he wanted to hang out. And I don't even know if I ever saw him down there. So, that's the story of Andy the jeweler. You got a piece of his work, hang on to it, man. It's only going to go up in value. I have, some pieces left. I sold some of the pieces when I came back from prison, trying to get back on my feet. I wish I had them back, but they're around, man. And if you run across one, snatch it if you can. Okay.
Okay, Chris, 7345 writes, "The Great Nordic War was between 94 and 97. You should know that."
Chris, I misspoke myself. That happens sometimes. And I do know that because, I was there in the beginning and I was there in the end. I was at the last meeting we had in the United States here. Blondie and Jim came over on special visas so we could help negotiate the peace. And ultimately, it happened. We had a few flare-ups here and there, but it seems to have been a long-lasting peace. And, I know sometimes there's conflicts that arise, but they always seem to get, resolved. But anyways, that's the questions and the answers this week. Now I want to get into this movie, Nom Angels, and some of you are going, "What movie are you talking about?" And so it was a movie came out in the late '80s, and there was an up and coming star. I can't think of his name offhand. I should have jotted his name down. In my old age, I'm having trouble remembering names, but he was an up and coming movie star, and they wanted to get this movie out, and they started doing publicity on it. I started getting calls from people, "Have you seen this movie, Nom Angels?" And I go, "Man, we get reports all the time, this and that and this." And I said, "No, I haven't seen it." And he goes, "Well, they're wearing a Hell's Angel patch in it," which I didn't believe. I said, I rather doubt it. And the guy goes, "No, man, I'm telling you, it's in there." So I went to the next officers meeting, and that was part of the business. And it came from Concord Films, Roger Corman. And I'm going to go back in time. In 1966, Roger Corman did that movie, The Wild Angels. And, he'd been in the movie business probably already a decade. And he came up with this movie, Wild Angels. Peter Fonda played this guy named Blues, Heavenly Blues, I think was his actual name. Bruce Dern was a loser. So you knew with a name like that, he was going to have to get offed in the movie. And then Diane Ladd played Gaish, or I don't know quite how to pronounce it. Bruce Dern and Diane Ladd were married, and in the movie they were married, or that was his old lady. But those were the main people in the movie. Now, I saw Diane Ladd before I left for Spain. I hadn't seen her in a long time, and we were kind of cracking up. I told her I was going to Spain to make a biker type movie, and tried to talk her into reprising her role, but it was just really kind of joking back and forth. So the movie gets made in 1966, and Corman had brought Martin Scorsese around, Francis Ford Coppola, all these people that became very prominent in the movie business. I think Jack Nicholson had some of his first roles in some of his movies. I think I could be wrong about that. So the Venice Hells Angels and the Coffin Cheaters participated in the Wild Angels, and it turned out to be a big problem. Sonny got really offended by it, but I think Sonny was concerned that somebody else was getting more attention than him, and they shut the charters down. Now, I think that this Venice charter may have had the larger death head. I've talked about this in the past when Barger ran into Betancourt down here in Southern California. They were both Hells Angels, but not connected in any ways. Two different clubs, different patches. Sonny took exception, shut that Venice charter down, and decided he was going to get in the game. And in '67, they did Hells Angels. Excuse me, they did Hells Angels on Wheels. And after we did that movie, the club voted that no actor would ever wear the Hells Angel patch again. So Sonny came up with Hells Angels '69, and pretty successful movie, made pretty good dough on it. And right after Hells Angels '69 in 1970, we officially incorporated, and we now held the logo. It was ours. Nobody could infringe on it. Somehow, Corman gets the idea to do this Nom Angels movie and decides he's going to use a Hells Angel patch in it. And I go confront him about it, and he claims what in the courts is called fair use. He said that he used the logo in recreating a real event. Well, it wasn't a real event. And the Hells Angels, as a club, didn't go to Vietnam. Sonny's, press release and kind of political stunt kind of got used against us. And Corman thought he could get away with it. So we wound up going. Well, I actually went to Corman's office and I said, "Hey, Roger, man, you got to fix this. You got to take that patch out of there." And he, that's what he said. Well, it's fair use, and I'm not going to do it. And I said, "Well, we're going to sue your ass." And he was a good sport about it. He kind of laughed. He goes, "You're not going to sue me. You don't have a leg to stand on." So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a motion here, and you guys can see this is an official motion that I filed in court on behalf of the club, Hells Angels Motorcycle Corporation. We are the plaintiffs. We're the plaintiffs, and it was against Concord, New Horizons Pictures, Media Home Entertainment, and Heron. And it's just a declaration. And in it, I state that I'm the president of the Ventura Hells Angels. I'm the person designated to oversee the prosecution of claims involving infringements. And then I talk about I'm familiar with all the facts. Then we get to the next page, talk about taking this before a judge. And, describe our organization. We're a longstanding organization founded in 1948 by World War II veterans. Primary purpose of the corporation is to monitor and protect the trademark. And then I get into the movie Nom Angels. And I state that the movie Nom Angels is highly offensive to HAMC membership. And then I go down to break it up. The Hells Angels are portrayed as mercenaries in the Vietnam War and were depicted as a group of immoral and unethical thugs who are uncaring, unfeeling towards each other. Because if you see the movie, everybody kind of turns against each other. I'm not gonna. I could comment right now, but I'm not gonna. In Nom Angels, the death of co-members is experienced by the survivors without emotion or remorse, sorrow or anything. In the movie Nom Angels, the values which are important to HMC, fidelity, loyalty, and trust, are not shown on the screen. So we say it's grossly misrepresents the club, and we would never license the film. So it's a very short motion, and we get into court. Corman's very confident. He's got his lawyers in there. He's got 4 or 5 different lawyers in there. He's very confident that he's going to, we're going to get laughed out of court. I'm going to tell you what the judge said. The judge looked at Corman, he looked at us, he looked at me, and he smiled. He almost laughed. And he said, Mr. Corman, I would go out in the hallway with you and your attorneys, and I would treat Mr. Christie very nice because you have broken the law. And he goes, I think you are going to have to compensate these gentlemen. And, I was all smiles. We went out in the hall and argued and went back in, and he decided that we would settle this out of court. We had a big meeting at the attorney's office. He was on one end, I was on the other. The guy was a really ballsy guy. I really, really liked him. He said, you want to settle this? He goes, let's get rid of these fucking lawyers. And he goes, George, you and me, man to man. He goes, let's figure it out. So we excused all the lawyers, and Roger and I negotiated a deal. And, what he did was he gave the club $60,000, stopped production of the movie. It was now in VHS. This is before, DVDs and whatnot. He stopped production of the movie, and I got to assist in the edit. We took the Hells Angel logo out of every scene it was in. Any reference to Hells Angels, we took it out. I spent the afternoon at Concord Films, and we edited everything out, and we wound up with Nom Angels with no Hells Angel indicia in it. $60,000 that went to the West Coast Treasury, and to show there was no hard feelings, Roger suggested we do a French version of Hells Angels Forever, and that's how I wound up going to France. He put it together with some. When I get there, I find out these guys are diamond smugglers. So these guys got a lot of money. This is before I ever heard the term blood diamond, but they had got kicked out of Africa. They were smuggling diamonds out of there. They were, I guess, came to be known as blood diamonds. But went to France, had a great time. We got the French version of Hells Angels Forever going. Over the years, I stayed in touch with Roger. He died here last year or the year before last. He was in his mid-90s, still very lucid. I would call him from time to time, and you know what? He always took my calls, and sometimes we just shoot the shit. He even took my calls when I wasn't in the club anymore. So he was a real stand-up guy, and I just thought I would pass this on. People have asked me about Nom Angels, and what was going on is last week I was going through my archives, and I ran across this motion, and I just thought I'd share it with you. It not as exciting as gunfights and bombings and whatnot, but it is part of the Hells Angel history, and I thought it would interest you. I hope you liked it. Please continue to watch our YouTube. If you don't like the commercials, you can go to Patreon. You get the same thing with an additional Q&A with Beverly and I, with Beverly on screen with me. But please comment. That's where I get the questions I answer. And please subscribe, okay? All right, you guys, take care.